Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Handmade by Ying with Donna. Guess what came? My Vortex from Legit Kits, and I hope you got yours too. This is my month one, and today we're going to go ahead and unpackage it, get this baby organized the way that I do it, and then we're going to start sewing. So let's talk for just a second. There's a couple little things that you're going to need. I use them and they work fabulous. I went to Staples and got me some file folders. I like them in particular because they've got the tags on them, but you don't have to use these, but use some sort of a filing system to tuck away all of your fabric so it's not askew all over your desk. I use a roller so I don't have to iron every time. I use my acorn pin, and I definitely use my add a quarter roller. I changed my rotary blade, so I'm ready to go when we get to sewing. I use a small iron because it works better for my space. So let's get this puppy open and I'll show you some magic. So we're going to slip down to the desk. This is the first month's packet. This is the way it's going to come to you. It's Color Vortex Month 1 by Legit Kits. I'm telling you right now, it's got 6 colors. 16 pieces, so let's pop it up. Whoa, wait a minute. Let's see what this little buggy is in the back. When I do Legit Kits, it's really cool. They come out with these little magnetics. They stick on any of your surfaces that you work with, anything metal. You can hook them to your machine if they'll adhere. Mine doesn't, but some people like to hang them as a little reminder of the projects that they've accomplished. So this is my Legit Kit magnet, and thank you, Mike, for sending that along. I greatly appreciate it. That comes with all of their kits. So let's pull out what goodness awaits us. I'll slide this down under into my trash bin. So we'll start flipping through and see what magic we have. This is your opening page. So we're going to flip it. This is the colors that we're going to be working within these perimeters for month 1. This is going to show you, this is block 1, block 2. So we're going to work block 1 today for week 1. Then we're going to go to week 2. Then we'll come down here for week 3. Then we'll come over here for week 4. That's the way that I'm going to do mine. And I'm going to set this aside. And it's showing you this is the pattern side. And this is going to be your finished quilt. So when you're doing it in the mirrored image, as you can see, we're going to work the pattern side and we're going to stockpile them. We're going to find a filing system that as you complete them, you're going to roll these in and you're just going to put them in your file system. And I'll show you how I do mine. And in the end, we'll come back together and we'll put these puppies together. And this is what your finished quilt will look like. This is the pattern side. So right now, we're going to be working just like this. And then this is going to be our finished quilt. We're going to lay it out, block 1, block 2. And you're going to have to pay attention as to the way that we did these. For mine, I'm going to write the date of when I did that block, just for future reference for myself. As you can see, these are your warm-up blocks, is what I like to call them, just to get you into the groove of what Legit Kits does if you haven't already done one of these. I have, so they're really cool. As I'm looking at this, you're going to see some blocks are going to have multiple pieces. But to start out, you're only going to have a few pieces. And that's pretty cool the way that they've got it. They have their fabric listed by a guide code. If you've never had Legit Kits, like we have one called Bright Idea. And it tells you you've got a 5x5x9 scrap. Then we have cactus. And the list goes on, like key lime, ferndale, sour apple, chartreuse. And it tells you the fabric that you should have in your kit. So I always highly recommend when your month comes, make sure that you've got all of those pieces when you do a quick inventory down through. If you don't, reach out to Legit Kits and they will send it along. So I'm going to set this aside because this is going to be my check sheet and I always check everything that comes to me. So this is my assembly guide for month 1 and block 1. And this is going to tell me how I'm going to do it. This is my cutting guide. And it's going to tell me how I'm going to piece this together. And I like how they have the pages numbered. For it's showing you, you're going to cut these 2 from this big hunk of fabric. You're going to cut 1 from your braid. So as you see, this is going to demonstrate how you need to lay your fabrics out, your pattern piece, to do your cuts. And as you do, mark them off. That way you know you've already got that piece knocked out and out of the way. And this is going to streamline really quick. So this is the first block that we'll be doing today. And this is going to be the second block for week 2. And this is going to be week 3. And this is going to be week 4. How cool is that? So here is my fabric. So I've got my marking instruments. And what I like to do is I like to hit it with a highlighter just for my information, that I know as I'm doing my inventory that I've got all my parts. So I have my bright idea. So I'm going to mark that. I'm going to lay it down like this. I have my HR fabric is what it's listed. So that is chart. So I'm just going to fold it down. Ferndale, I have it. And that is 1 1/16. I have cactus. And as you can see, they're not cut in any particular order. This is just the way that they shipped. I have key lime, and I'm marking it off. And then I have my sour apple. So that shows me all of my fabrics for this month are in this kit. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to move my paper out of the way and show you how I file mine. And it comes in quite handy. I have a file box, and I'm going to switch up. And this is the file box in my system that I use. It sits up like this. And each time that I get fabric for this project, I will join it in and I will file it here. So as I'm working it and working that block, it works in, I'm just going to file them, the colors in these little slots. So when I get to cutting that piece, I'm going to have it. And I'm also going to put my cutting guide in on that section as well. So let me get my cutting guide for the first piece. And this is just the way that I choose to do mine. You'll be able to do yours as you become more comfortable with legit kits, however you choose. And I want to move my assembly guide. So this is the first one. So this one is my cactus and my bright idea. So I can file both of these because they're small pieces. So I have my bright idea. And I'm going to file it right here. And I'm going to look for my cactus. And I will pull that out and I will drop this in to the next sleeve that I have. And like I said, this is going to show you how you're going to be cutting these puppies out. So I'll slide this in under cactus. The next one is going to be chartreuse. No, I have key lime listed. So I'll do key lime next. And I'll just fold it like this. I love the way that they have everything labeled. This label here will match your pattern. So if you see KL, of course it's key lime. But if you ever run short on a piece or something, you'll call and give them this number, 842. And that's going to tell them that that's the piece that you need. So I'm going to find my key lime. I'm going to open that up and I'm just going to slip it in. The next one is chart use. Let me see here. And I will drop that in as well. Since both of these color keys are on the same piece for their cutting guide, I'm just going to slip it straight in. The next one, they put 2 at a time on. So the next one is going to be my Ferndale. I'm also going to fold it like this. It just makes it really simple for me. And the next one is Sour Apple. Since Sour Apple is the last color here for my filing system, I'm just going to drop it in under Sour Apple. So my first piece that I'm going to be working on today is A1. It's got 3 different colors. So let me get all of this out of the way. And I will just stack that right here in my filing system. And what I like to do with mine is, let me grab one little handy dandy tool if I can find it here, is I use a little piece of paper, and it's a really thin piece of cardboard stock that I've cut, and I just wrote FPP on it. I use this every step of the way when I'm working a pattern. Anytime that I'm working with FPP, I like to do my folds first before I ever pull my fabric, but that's just a technique that I choose to do. Everyone that does FPP does them a little bit different. So you find what works for you. Then we're going to slide this one over. And I'm going to slide it like this. And I'm just going to slightly finger press this puppy in. So now my first color is going to be QR. And that's the Ferndale. So I'm going to pull my Ferndale out. And wait until you see. What you need to do is make sure you're matching your QR code with your pattern color. And you just lay this puppy down just like this. Now you don't want to get your salvage in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my tag from this side. And I'm just going to slip it over here because I know that's not usable fabric for me. I'm going to slide this in right there. How cool. They got that cut in really, really tight. I really like to pin mine, so I use really thin pins so that nothing shifts and everything stays in place for me. And I will pin here as well, just to make sure that as I cut this one piece, it's not going to shift on me. So I'm going to fold it down. I'm going to use my 1/4 ruler, and I'm going to lay it down. Use the right side of it. And we're going to cut this right off. You do not have to do it this way, but like I said, this is what works for me. That I know is all I need for this piece. So I'm going to lay my 1/4 ruler here, and I'm going to go ahead and get this section off as well. I'm going to slide this out of the way, and I'm going to file this back under Ferndale. Then I'm going to look for my secondary color, and it's SA. So I have to look for Sour Apple. So as you can see, this is our cutting guide. I have this section here yet that I will use on that Ferndale. So right now we're pulling out the Sour Apple, and that's right here. Piece number 2 matches here. So this is what I'll be cutting out. Whoops. So all I'm going to do is fussy cut. This fabric is thin enough that I can pretty well see through it. And I want to find the best possible way that I'm going to be able to lay this in and use the least amount of fabric. Legit Kits does give you more than enough fabric. So you do not have to worry about being really skimpy. I'm just pinning it because I don't want it to shift as I'm giving it a quick fussy cut in. So I'm just going to scrap cut down in here. And I know right here, if you look, I'm not going to need this. So I'm just going to cut straight across. So you'll be able to see what I'm doing. And then I'll give it a cut straight up the side because I do not need these parts right now. So I'm going to file my Sour Apple back. I will take my cutting guide and I'm going to stick that straight up. So I'm going to take this piece right here and I'm going to adhere it here. So what I'm going to do is lay my fabrics down just like this. So once I sew the line, this is going to lay down. You can choose to pin it, or you can just pinch it. This is a small section, so I feel pretty confident on my half that it's not going to shift. They have the sew lines into your margin to where you're going to be able to cut those off. So I'm going to go ahead and sew straight into them. Now I've already dropped my stitch length down to 1.2. And I'm going to go slow. There's no rhyme or reason. And just make sure that I'm staying as accurate on that line as possible, because you don't want it to go wiggling. You just want to give it a good straight line. Now right here, I'm going to stop and not sew off, because the next section is going to join in there and I won't have to worry about cutting that off. So I've got this pinned, and I'm going to leave this piece, this little pin in for right now until I get ready to build all of my block out. But what I am going to do is finger press this down just like this. And I'm going to give it a little bit of love. And it's flat. And if you choose, and I am choosing because I want it to lay flat, this is going to be stored for quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and use my acorn pen because I want it to lay and not move around. So I went ahead and given it a little bit of acorn juice, and that's just helping with the seam. And that will make it stay super flat for as long as it needs to. And like I said, this is a year-long process. So as you can see, this is going to be fun. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to look for KL, and that's my key lime. And I'm going to get my cutting chart and show you that as well. So for my key lime, I'm looking for part 3. And it's showing, it looks like this. But actually, it's right here. So it's going to be section A, right up here. And what I like to do is mark them off. A1, 3. So that I know that this piece is done. And I'm just going to draw a line through that. And that really helps as you're working your parts that you know you've already gotten that out. So let me lay this aside. And we're going to pull out this key lime and we're going to put it in here. We're going to fold back this little tiny piece and we're going to snip it off. And you're going to use your add a quarter. And then this little piece, I know I don't need it right now, but I am going to stick it back into the file for the key lime. And now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to lay it right here where it needs to go. And that's just going to show me this little tiny piece. And fussy cut it in. You could pretty well feel, or you can eyeball it. Like I said, they give you plenty of fabric. So I'm just going to snip up this side right here. And I'm going to give it a little peek over here. Just give it a little tiny bit more. And then now I'm going to fold this back because that's all I need right there. So that's going to be my little marking, my little tidbit per se, that I know that's where I need to cut. So I'm going to take it now, and that line that I finger pressed in is going to be my cut line. And now the rest of this will go back into the filing system for the next time that we need this fabric. So now I'm going to lay this here, and as you see, once this is sewn in, this is going to cover the block in its entirety. So let's Nudge it in with our fingers just a little bit. Flip it over, and let's get this puppy in. Whoops, gotta slide it down. It slid just a smidge on me. And remember, your 1.2 or whatever stitch length that you prefer, the tighter the better in my book, and it works great. So as you can see, we do have a little bit of overage. We're going to press this down, and we're in. Now that little bit there is going to be cut off, so I'm not rightly worried. I go tight with a couple cuts because I know that is not going to matter right there once I square this block up, and I'll show you. And they do give you more than enough fabric. So now where this black line is that's coming around, you're going to lay your add a quarter ruler on it, and you're going to trim. This is going to get rid of all of the extras that you don't need. I have a scrap bucket right next to me. And now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Stay on that black line. You don't want to get askew. Slipping on that pin there. So let me slide this right back, line it up, and give it a cut. You're going to slide it around and do the top. Where it says color Vortex, that will stay there for the duration of this quilt. And when we piece it all together at the end, that'll be hidden in the seam allowance. Then we're going to have a paper pulling party. I promise you, and it's always a good time. So now we're down here, and we're going to trim this off. I'm missing a little tiny string there. So here we go. As you can see, everything on this block came out really swell. Now, doesn't that look pretty neat? And it's already looking gorgeous. So, like I said, this is your month 1, block 1. And you'll see this in the video. And I'm really excited that the first one's already done. And this is going to go by really fast. So, I'll see you back month 1, block 2. You take care, God bless, and I'll see you then.